Ooh, feels so official now. Yes, Ford Field, there it is, the site of it all. The Packers just about 90 minutes away from their critical division showdown with the Detroit Lions. Good evening, everyone. I am Earl Arms, and I am here with all of you getting ready for this Motor City showdown between the Packers and Detroit Lions. A crucial matchup, to say the least. Not only are we talking about the Lions sweeping the Packers for the first time in 24 years, but winning or losing could carry playoff implications depending on what happens on tonight's game. And for more on that, Kevin Holden, he's appreciated. Kevin, thanks a lot. And here's why the game is so important. Check out the NFC North standings. Just 5 games to go, and the Packers, they can't afford to lose because they can't lose any more ground on Minnesota. Here's a look at those standings. The Vikings, you see them in first, 8-3, and the Packers right behind them at 7-4. The Bears 5-6, and those Detroit Lions at 4-7. And 4 games left after tonight, 2 at home, 2 on the road. The Dallas Cowboys coming to Lambeau Field, and even at 3-8, just 2 games out of the NFC East. It's a wild one out there. Then it's a trip to Oakland, not an easy place to play, the black hole with the Raiders. And then out of a wild card spot, the Raiders are, but the Arizona Cardinals, well, that could be a playoff preview. They're 9-2 and soaring right now, a 2 seed right now, and then the Vikings traveling north in the regular season finale that could decide the division for the Green Bay Packers. And the Vikings' last 5 games also against teams that still have playoff hopes. The Seattle Seahawks in the first round of the NFC playoffs. Right now, they're a wild card team. We'll get to that preview in just a bit. But a short week for the Vikings, too, because after that, they go to Arizona for a Thursday night game, which will not be easy. The Packers playing them, too. But then the suddenly re-energized Bears, they head to Minneapolis on the 20th, followed by the 5-6 Giants, who are tied for first in that debacle of an NFC East before the season finale at Lambeau Field. And Packers safety Leroy Butler, a part of the team that got swept by the Detroit Lions back in 1991. And after that, he and the Packers, well, they got tired of losing to Detroit. They will go on to win every home game after that, plus a couple of playoff games to the Detroit Lions, too. But this game, not a postseason game, but with playoff implications, Butler says it's time for the Packers to get it together. I think Leroy Butler should know. And as we head back out and take a live look, the Packers 8-5 at Ford Field all time. That's tops among the teams that they've played 5 or more games there. The Packers, they lead the all-time series with Detroit, 95 wins, 68 losses, and 7 ties. They've won 16 of their last 20 games against the Lions. And that wasn't the case last time. You may unfortunately remember the Lions got their first win in the state of Wisconsin in 24 years. It was an ugly game, and ugly for the Packers. 18-16 was the final. Very one-dimensional game. The Packers, 325 passing yards with just 47 yards on the ground. Combined 16 punts between the two teams, and the Lions, well, they tried to give this one away several times with the Packers, scoring a late touchdown, but missed the 2-point conversion. Mason Crosby, after they got the onside kick, remember, Mason Crosby coming up short on a 52-yarder as time expired. Detroit 18, Green Bay 16. And one of the keys will be exploiting turnovers. These Packers +6 while the Lions -9. Both teams averaging about 344 yards a game. That's the bottom third of the league. And with Detroit, they get into the red zone, they get the job done. They score a touchdown 67% of the time. That's third best in the NFL. But of course, if it were all about stats, we wouldn't have to play this game, right? The matchup's still a little over an hour away between now and then, though. Make sure you stick with us. We'll have breaking news on the injury front. All right, folks, welcome back. Aaron Rodgers, though, struggling or not, still making NFL history. I guess he's just that good. Becoming the fastest player to throw for 250 touchdown passes in his career. And he's faster than some pretty big names. He set the record last week against Chicago in his 121st game, or I should say against Chicago at Lambeau Field, but he did it faster than Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and yes, the Packers' very own Brett Favre. And speaking of Favre, he's best known for his Iron Man streak, never missing a game during his start as quarterback in Green Bay, and regardless of how many times he was on the injury report. But the Packers with a few injuries as of late, including some that they're just finding out about tonight. We'll go back to Kevin with the new details. Kevin. Do you think, Kevin? We'll see you in a second. Meanwhile, we'll talk about Packers linebacker Sam Barrington, one step closer to a very big honor because he's a semifinalist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Now, the award named after the Bears running back Walter Payton, it recognizes an NFL player for his excellence on and off the field. Each team nominates one player who has had a significant positive impact on his community. Barrington speaking about the honor.
This has been
the winner getting a $50,000 donation to the charity of his choice. The Man of the Year award winner will be announced in a 2-hour primetime special on Saturday, February 6th. That right here on CBS 58. Also the night we find out if Brett Favre makes the Hall of Fame. That special runs from 8 to 10 p.m. Coming up on our Motor City matchup special, playoffs. Playoffs. The Packers, right now they're in, but not by much. We'll show you by how much and who they be playing this postseason if it started today. You're watching the Motor City matchup special on CBS 58. There he is, Mason Crosby had a chance to win this matchup a few weeks ago at Lambeau Field. His 52-yard field goal coming up short, but there he is. He's trying to get it together for this matchup with the Detroit Lions. Now, Packer fans, I know we all had Super Bowl aspirations before this season, but you know what? Probably got to slow it down just a little bit. Still, got to get through the Detroit Lions. The Packers not showing that they could do it just yet. They haven't beaten them this season just yet, but we're talking about a team that's won 3 games in a row. 2 straight against the Packers at Ford Field. It seems like it's been a tougher and tougher place to play for these Green Bay Packers, but they will try their shot again at 7-4. And that's where we find our Kevin Holden. And I should say 7:25 Eastern Standard Time. Still 6:25 over here, so still about an hour away until kickoff. But the Packers, going back to that postseason berth, they could still make it even if they don't win the division. As a matter of fact, they won the Super Bowl the last time it happened. Now, only problem is they got to win their games on the road if they're a wild card team. And check this out. If the playoffs started today, they'd be doing just that, starting at 5-6 Washington. We told you about the NFC East. Yes, it's crazy. Carolina, though, the only unbeaten team in the league at 11-0. Arizona second at 9-2, and the Vikings now third, leading the North at 8-3. Then, nope, not a typo. We said it. Washington, the 4th seed at 5-6. They would get the home game with that NFC East. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But anyway, you have the Packers as the 5 seed at 7-4. Then the Seattle Seahawks clinging to a 6-5 record. And that last spot, Atlanta tied right there with them. Now, if anyone knows how much this game means to the playoff picture, it's the guys from NFL Today. James Brown and company in the studio with the look into tonight's game. All right, you heard Kevin. He sees the Packers winning 28-26. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. It seems to be the case the last few years. 13-10, I have the Packers winning. And Gary Ellerson, our former Packer, he thinks the Packers win by a field goal, too. 27-24, we're talking about a Packer sweep. No Vince Lombardi, but here's to a Packers win tonight in Detroit. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you watch our continuing coverage from tonight's game with the NFL crew. One more picture from Ford Field. Packers Lions coming up. Thanks for watching.